What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. How long does Daniel Jones have to play like this before he gets Brian Daboll fired? It's a great question. I thought a couple weeks ago, I think this question was brought up. Maybe it was after week one. I thought, I don't know if there's much correlation. I know he used to play in the Giants, but he got cut in the middle of the season. He's been on another team since, and then he went to another team, right? He got picked up by Minnesota. Now he's on the Colts. But if he has a season where it's like, he's not going to be a Pro Bowler because there are other guys like Herbert, Lamar, and Josh. Like, I'd put my money on those three guys being the AFC Pro Bowlers. But like, if he has a Pro Bowl level season and the Giants win 5 games, it won't help. Like, no one was surprised, or he shouldn't have been, when Saquon, who was healthy, went to the team with the best offensive line and a run first mentality, had an incredible year. Right? No one disputed when they let Saquon go. He had been banged up at times, but no one argued like his talent, his speed, his vision, his ability to run between the tackles and just bust long runs. Obviously, it went better than anyone could have thought. But most people would have been like, Daniel Jones isn't going to be any good. This isn't going to work. What if he throws 38 touchdowns and they win 12 games and they win the division? They have a lot of good players. I heard Albert Breer say this. You got to give him some credit because he's making some of their random guys that, I don't think are viewed as higher end skill guys look really good. We think Pittman's good, but the other wide receivers, every time you look up, they're making plays. Jonathan Taylor looks invigorated. Pretty wild how Baker Mayfield once was playing defensive lineman for the Panthers during practice, a backup for the Rams, and now he's one of the best in the league. What a story. Dude is legit. I think it's a great example, and I'm a huge believer as the cream always rises. But all of our paths are not the same. Our roads to where we're trying to get, some people, we have these people in our life that have immediate early success, do very well financially at a young age. Maybe you personally meet someone, fall in love, have babies. Like, God, they just got the world by the balls. And other people kind of bounce around. And then you look 20 years later, it's like, God, that guy really figured it out. It took him a little while, but it all happened. And let's face it, a lot of stuff in our lives are out of our control, right? We control some of it, but there is stuff that is 100% out of our control. And Baker was drafted by the Cleveland Browns. Now, he didn't help his situation there, but think of like Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens, John Dorsey. Like, they had a pretty crazy situation. Odell Beckham Jr. Now, clearly, humility, came with failure, which is something that's very important, I think, when you're young and you're really cocky and arrogant. Like, life will humble you. Football will humble you. Just business will humble you. And he got humbled hard. And I do think he was able to reset. No one ever questioned his arm, right? He's always had a big arm. One thing that's clear, he got married, he had a kid, and he looks dramatically skinnier, slimmer. He's much more explosive as a mover. Like, no one's going to compare him to like Kyler, but his legs are a threat. I mean, literally just, you could argue the game was won on that 4th and 10 where he juked the guy and ran for 15 plus yards, kept the game alive, continued him right down the field for the game winning touchdown. A defense that's probably one of the faster in the league. So I've loved Baker since he was at Oklahoma. He's one of my favorite college players of the last couple decades. I don't know if I would have saw this coming a couple years ago. And listen, Jason Light probably be the first to tell you, when we gave him $4 million, we were hoping. I liked him coming out, but a couple years later, I never believed that we'd have like one of the MVP candidates. Try to give that out 25-1. It's cool to watch. It's fun to watch guys. We mature late. Most of us are not Andrew Luck at 22 years old. Most of us are slappies. Most of us are idiots. So I just think that he follows the path of a lot of young men that it takes a couple years, it takes some bumps in the road to kind of mature. And if you do have the talent, once you figure it out, watch out. And he figured it out in the right place, and it's fun to watch. I enjoy watching Tampa Bay. Do you think the Chiefs' offense is sustainable with Mahomes having to be Superman every game? Worthy and Rice will be rusty when they come back, and with time, it'll take them to get up to speed. Shouldn't Veach look to get Mahomes instant help at running back? Kamara might be available for late pick. Well, if you can get him for a late pick, it's 100%. I do think the Chiefs have to be pretty careful if this is not going to be their year to value the draft picks because they're going to need to restock the cupboard with some talent. Like they're going to need a tight end. This Travis is not going to be on the team next year. I doubt he's going to keep playing, but like they're going to have to move on. This is honestly kind of a sentimental year for him, right? And they took care of him. He kind of got the NBA treatment, and he deserved it. They had won a bunch of Super Bowls. He's one of the most important people in the history of the franchise. But like this thing's coming to an end, and they're gonna have to transition for Patty that it's Worthy, Rashee Rice. I mean, those guys are gonna have to prove they're dependable. They're gonna need a running back. It looks like they found their left tackle. One thing that's kind of glaring right now is McDuffie. Looks like he's kind of come back to earth a little bit. What's the deal with Jeanty? 30 carries for 80 yards. Not only that, but he has been awful in pass pro and a total non-factor as a receiving back. Last night, the Raiders handed it to Zamir White on 3rd and 1 and got stuffed. Why the hell is Jeanty not getting that carry? Zamir is simply terrible and still getting a fair amount of run. That feels concerning. I know it's way too early to panic, and he has looked explosive on a few carries, but hard not to be extremely disappointed with what we have seen so far. What's your take? I don't think their offensive line is great. So they don't. This guy's not Barry Sanders. So he can't just make something out of nothing. And part of his game early on, it's like he's not Mr. Jukia. He kind of wants to run you over. Well, if you're Adrian Peterson and 6'2" and 218 pounds and run a 4.3, okay, I'll truck your ass. But is Ashton Jeanty going to make a career in the NFL running guys over? To me, his game has to be like, I don't know, Frank Gore, different body type, like Jonathan Taylor, like shifty, make guys miss, get on guys' edges. And it feels like he's trying to go forward as a power back, like he's Cam Scattaboo, which he did a lot in college, broke a bunch of tackles. But it's a lot different breaking Washington State and Oregon State and New Mexico's tackles than it is Jesse Minter and the Chargers defense, right? And the Denver Bronco defense and the Kansas City Chiefs defense. It's going to be much more difficult. So I'm with you. You can't panic yet. He does have like some natural instincts as a runner, but clearly it's just off to a little bit of a rocky start. And I do think in general in the draft, one reason I think in the NFL you see a lot of guys that are like 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders become Pro Bowlers because they early on in their career get to fly under the radar a little bit. Anything they do positively gets propped up. It's like, holy shit, look at this 3rd rounder making plays. Did you see that pass rush by the dude we drafted in the 4th? But when you're the 7th overall pick, it's like, God, this guy can't get off a block. Why is this guy so slow? Look at Quentin Johnson. He's like 3 games into his career. He's like, can't catch a cold. Sucks. What an awful pick. But the dude drafted in like the 6th round, it's like, God, did you see that route he just ran? He just got open on Sauce Gardner. It's like, are we sure we don't have the next steal of the draft? That conversation is real because it's not just us on podcasts or fans. It's like the media people asking. These guys listen and watch and read stuff. So that pressure when you're the 6th overall pick is immense. Like it is intense. It's like, hey, are you going to be like the other top 10 picks in the last decade? The guys I just listed, Saquon, Bijan, McCaffrey. I mean, these are the type guys we're talking about. Like, are you going to be that good? It's like, well, maybe not, which is a problem because If you're just a solid running back, I could find solid running backs all over the draft. And I think that pressure, this guy's not coming from Alabama. This guy's not coming from Oregon or Penn State, where it was like national championship bust. He played at Boise State, where in a lot of games, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this, like you watch some highlights, but you weren't watching Boise State play games. You play at Georgia and you're a multi-year starter, like your team thought you were going to win every game. Now, whether a guy lives up to it once they get to the league, Najee Harris, should he have been a first round pick or not? I think it's fair to say he probably should have gone the second day of the draft. But when Najee Harris got to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the lights came on week one or at training camp, like the dude had just played for Nick Saban for 4 years. He had walked out as the Alabama starting running back with a bunch of other pros, expected to win every game. So the pressure, he was used to it. Not saying there's not pressure at Boise State, but it just ain't the same. My question would be, what do you see the Eagles potentially adding to this roster throughout the season? Zadarius Smith was interesting, but in my opinion, they need to find another corner. Would love to hear your thoughts on what Howie might have cooking. I think the reason they signed him is because obviously they had pass rushers. Huff didn't do anything for him, but he's just gone. Sweat, who's been a key guy for them, is on the Cardinals. They lost edge guys, and they just were hoping that some of these guys they've drafted over the last couple of years emerge, and obviously Jalen and Jordan Davis dominate. But you can find the older, like Zadarius Smith exists every single year. Finding a corner, you could find the equivalent of Zadarius Smith at corner, but most of the time that guy's not good. And every once in a while, a team that's in free fall, can you trade for one of their corners? Here's what I know about the Eagles. They are in championship or bust mode. Like their only goal this year is to win the division, have the number one seed, and win the NFC and be in the Super Bowl. Like I don't think they have any other, like there are no other agendas when it comes to this team. So to me, Howie, who is by far the most aggressive in the league, will do anything humanly possible for anyone available. And if their number one need, like offensively, they don't have any needs. I know their passing game hasn't worked through 2 games, but they have 2 sweet wide receivers. They have a good tight end. Saquon can't really catch, but they have the weapons in terms of the pass game, right? Defensively, pass rushers, there's a reason that they offered the Cowboys 2 ones and a third-round pick and probably Micah $190 million because they know how important that position is, right? If there presents itself a superstar corner, but I don't know if that guy really exists. Now, would Howie have no problem trading for a good corner, like a 4th-round pick? Yeah. I mean, I think they are going to be in the mix for any good player that would start for them. And honestly, if the guy would start for them, I'd be stunned if the Eagles don't trade for him. We are extremely excited to announce our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. Everyone knows and loves their hotels and casinos, but now you can use the top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place all your NFL bets this season. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states to come. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you are in New Jersey. As we gear up for the NFL season, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. All I've heard recently is how foolish the Browns were for letting Baker Mayfield go. Yet just the other day, after only 2 games in the second season, the media is really crucifying Caleb Williams. It may be the right play, as you and Colin both claimed, along with many others as well. What's the right approach? How much time should a young quarterback get to prove himself? If Ben Johnson can't turn him around, is there any hope? Ryan Poles might be one of the worst GMs in NFL history. 4 years in, he's not drafted a Pro Bowl, a dismal 15-38 record, and it's tough to find a GM this ineffective who's been given so much time plus an extension. It feels like the Bears' efforts are useless at this point. 4 years into a rebuild for another rebuild? I think it's very, very difficult. If the Bears are going to be bad, right? Best case scenario for Caleb is obviously got to be better on defense, but they just find a way to win some games. Because if you look up and the team's 4-4, even if they're 3-4, it's like okay, right? It's not as negative. But if you look up and they're 2-7, it is really really difficult for things to not point at the key figures. You go, okay, fire Ryan Poles. You're not going to fire Ben Johnson. It's like, what's up with the quarterback? Fire the defensive coordinator. We're not breaking down their wide receiver rotations when you're really bad. So it's impossible to know the what should be done until we see them play a couple more games. Because if they start losing, every single person is going to be available on this team. Right? A lot of guys, like, is DJ Moore going to be on this team in a couple months? I would not feel confident about that. If they lose this week to the Cowboys, it's just going to be like if Caleb starts playing well and they keep losing, then that's another conversation. But I have a hard time, like, if they lose to the Cowboys, like, how would he play well and they lose? Like, the Cowboys defense is atrocious. So you would think that they played well, they should be able to score 30-ish points and win the game, especially at home. I think it's very difficult. You have to be prepared when you break up with a girl or she breaks up with you that in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, your life or her life, someone's going to win that transaction, right? If you're dating someone beautiful, and you're like, you know what? He's gorgeous. By all accounts, this should be unreal. I just don't really like her. I don't want to date her anymore. You have to be prepared if she's a babe for someone that has more money than you and a cooler life than you, that in like a year or two, she's posting on Instagram, you know, at the Four Seasons in Hawaii, flying there in a private jet, like living life. And then all of a sudden she's pregnant and it's like, God, I'm single. My life's not. And then all of a sudden you get depressed. You can't live like that. So the Browns, they made their decision. It was not working with Baker. So just because someone else goes on to find a better situation does not mean that it would have worked there with you. And I do think the negative cloud and the dark cloud of the Bears in this Caleb situation, if it were to get a lot worse, if he went on somewhere else and had some success, it doesn't mean that he would have had success in Chicago. So I think I'm sure, like, you hired the offensive coach who just actually gave him some credit. He's like, I actually thought he played okay. I saw Ted Nguyen, who writes for The Athletic, who's a big film guy, say that he only found like 4 or 5 times where Caleb really played off script. The problem was one of those was an interception that led to 7 points, and kind of the floodgates opened after that. But Colin said one more game. I disagree with that. Like, he's getting months this month, next month, but it is like this is a very urgent sport. And like these teams and these coaches, I like it's hard for them to think about 2028 when you're living in the moment and it's not going well. The other thing is these are human beings, right? So if I don't get along, and I don't know, I have no knowledge, never met Ben Johnson, but like however their relationship is, he knows what a good quarterback offensive coordinator relationship is, right? Play caller relationship is. He just had one with Goff. Now every person's different, so you're not going to interact with me the same as you'd interact with someone else, as your dad, as your brother, as your cousin, as your other buddy. Like, we're all different, different personalities, different wiring. The way we communicate changes. But if you don't see eye to eye with the person, schematically, skill set wise, just communication wise, it's hard to work. So it's just, to me, something to keep an eye. I don't have the answer. I wouldn't just say that it's over, but it's definitely something worth monitoring. It's got off to a weird start. The NFL said they were looking for data to remove the tush push, but didn't have any data to back it up. So I think the out will be they can't officiate the play. There is just one big pile, and they have no idea where the ball is. Also, side note, Jordan Love is the best quarterback in the NFC. Go, Pack, go. Uh, I would say that Jordan Love's having a really good season. Best quarterback in the NFC. Uh, through a couple games. I mean, it's definitely not. Could be Russell Wilson after that performance. Dak's played pretty well. Not Jalen Hurts. Purdy's hurt. Kyler, no. Sam Darnold's a little rocky. NFC's a little more wide open. Goff kind of got his swag back at home. Mailbag. The Jameson Williams experience as a Lions fan has been quite the ride. The night before the season opener for Detroit, he received an extension. To me, he earned it. Not only did he mature as a person, but he's become more of a complete wide receiver who has the ability to score anytime he touches the football. I believe Brad Holmes made the right decision to extend him early rather than wait. His number would be much higher if he matched his numbers from last year. Do you think Brad Holmes made a smart decision in locking him up? Clearly, I saw an interview with Dan Campbell this offseason, and I didn't put that much into it, but where he was speaking about how much Jameson Williams has really grown on him. I think Randall L. early on in his career was probably the right type coach. And I bet if we went around the league, a lot of former wide receivers are wide receiver coaches. That can be a pretty probably electric room of personalities all over the map. But, last year he had 58 catches and 7 touchdowns. Um, they picked up a 5th-year option, gave him a 3-year contract extension. I think that they've done a really good job when they were kind of bad and they were building this thing of just nailing some picks. And the one thing Jameson does is having St. Brown, it's basically like a Jekyll and Hyde. It's like a yin and a yang, right? You have this guy that runs all these quick routes over the middle of the field, quick out routes, breaking tackles, like does the dirty work. And then this other guy that's like, it's like having a truck and a Ferrari, right? If you want to drive on the ranch, you're not going to take the Porsche or the Ferrari, right? And if you want to drive downtown or to a nice dinner, you're going to go to the steakhouse, take your wife or your girlfriend, you probably take the sports car. And if you can afford it, you get both of them, right? So I think that's what it is. They kind of balance each other out for their offense. Goff has a good connection with him, hit him on the play. And I think anytime that you can get that guy on your roster that's not just a speed guy, but like a good player that can keep the defense honest. And then they don't just have St. Brown. I mean, they have Laporta too, who's excellent. I mean, the Tesla guy. The offensive line is still a question mark. We'll see how they come together as they play better teams. I mean, this week they play the Ravens. But skill wise, they have elite talent. So yeah, I'd give them. It's kind of very Philadelphia Eagles ish for the mailbag. Not an Eagles fan, so I'm not biased. But as a competitor, a youth coach, and purely a fan of the game, I can't get behind banning any play in competition sport. In a competition sport, I watch countless teams try to do some form in college or the NFL, and nobody can execute the same play. Yes, it has to do with the players, but I promise you the Eagles just do it better than everyone else. From the coaching to the execution on the field, the technique, and all the hours spent scheming. I notice differences in the way each team runs this play versus how the Eagles run it, which is why they fail. I would bet money the Eagles can run this play better with a backup quarterback than any of the other 31 teams with their starting quarterback. Yes, Jalen Hurts is special, but it's scheming, technique, execution, and hours of game planning. I hope they win the Super Bowl and with this play just to piss everyone off. LOL. I think at this point in time, you don't practice this play, right? There's no way at this point they practice this play at all live against their own team. Where I would tend to agree with you on the backup quarterback is their offensive line, their leverage, how low they get. They feel more consistently like a defensive line in a goal line situation. Now, you could argue they're cheating because they're jumping before the ball's even snapped, but than most teams. Now, the backup quarterback thing, I do think the power of Jalen, I mean, some of these are getting closer because these teams are selling out. I think factor in. If you put Tanner McKee, there was the play One of the tush pushes felt like they ran it 10 times against the Chiefs. Chris Jones leaped over him and grabbed him, but he's in the air, and Jalen is so powerful, kind of took him for a yard ride, which I forget it was a touchdown or a first down. To me, if that's Tanner McKee, Chris might be powerful enough for he's not taking Chris Jones for a ride. So I do believe that the power of Jalen in his legs factor into the just to the execution of the play. But at this point in time, like, are they game planning anything? I they deserve credit for doing that whenever they originally created it. But like all the guys like Landon Dickerson, Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, these guys, Jurgensen, uh, Goddard, Saquon, like these guys have been running the play long enough. They just know what to do. Another great show. I like positive reinforcement. Great segment on Baker today, who I wasn't a fan of originally, but I've come to respect and cheer for, especially that the episode he went undercover with the fans. It got me thinking this weekend. Baker and Darnold, both on the fourth team, are better than any quarterback on the three teams that let them walk. My question for the mailbag is, we put down bust quarterback a lot, but what about bust GMs? I mean, Carolina had both of them on their team at one point. Well, everyone in Carolina got fired. The GM fired. The coach fired. So I think Carolina blew out everyone there. I do think for both guys, I think Sam would be the first to tell you that year where he got out of Carolina, went to the 49ers, just got to be the backup, changed the course of his career. For Baker, I think he was a better player than Sam. He is a better player than Sam. He just needed to go to a place that was a little quieter, uh, kind of had a little renegade rebel to it, and good talent around him, and he got to flourish. Like, let's face it, Tampa's kind of like Oklahoma. When he was kicking ass in Oklahoma, guess what? He had Mark Andrews, he had Hollywood Brown, he had CeeDee Lamb. Pretty sure he had P. Ryan and Joe Mixon. He had Orlando Brown. Like, Google some of the guys Baker Mayfield played with at Oklahoma. They were fucking good. They were stacked. They were loaded. That's why they were really good. I mean, they were a top 5, 10 team his entire career there. And he goes to Tampa. It's kind of got an Oklahoma vibe. You know, here's the thing as a GM. Do you get credit for drafting Sam Darnold third overall? Because once you draft him, like, you don't coach him. I think sometimes when a guy's a bust, it's more on the coaching staff than the GM. Though I think the GM has a lot of control over the type guys that are in that locker room. So it's probably a combination of everyone. But not everyone just flourishes from day one. You know, some guys take some time. Some guys are major works in progress. Some guys need some time. Look at Tom Brady, he was the 6th round pick. It wasn't until like his like third Super Bowl where people are like, yeah, he's a pretty good quarterback. We'll end on this. In your opinion, had the Browns stuck with Baker, do you think they'd be Super Bowl contenders? They seem to have every piece but a quarterback, and how amazing is it that Baker was playing on the scout team defense? That picture, I saw Jason Light on Twitter reposted it of Baker Mayfield lining up what looks like is a nose tackle on the scout team. It's a pretty embarrassing look for Carolina. Now, granted, this is not the Canales or Dan Morgan like other people running the show rule, but it's just it's a rough it's a rough visual. Uh, I'm gonna stick with my thought on this. I do not think they would because I just don't think he'd be on the team. I mean I think he sometimes people are meant to break up. It just sometimes not everything's meant to work. Things can flourish for a minute and then things end. Like not every place is just like this inevitable no matter what. Like Peyton Manning and the Colts, like it was just gonna work. And Peyton was gonna drag that organization to not just relevancy, but a Super Bowl. It was inevitable. Even at times where it's like, I don't know if he can beat the Patriots. Like looking back, Peyton Manning, they were gonna win a Super Bowl. And hell, they probably should have won two. But I think the Baker situation, for him personally, the organization, I don't think it would have worked. It didn't work. So, and I don't think we get this guy. You have to wonder if the belief when Sean McVay signed him on a Tuesday and he started on a Thursday and he won that game. Just breathed a little life into the guy. I don't care who you are. You lose confidence. You get in a bad mental spot as a young person. You can put on a facade and this like tough guy exterior. Inside, we all question ourselves. Are we good enough? Do we got it? Is this going to work out? You can be scared. It's much easier. It's much easier for me at 40 to battle through insecurities or battle through a bad day. It's like I've seen a lot in the last 20 years. It's a lot more difficult at 25 when I was having a shitty day. I had way less experience being a grown up. Just like at 60 years old, I'm going to have way more experience in life with children than I do right now. So the Baker Mayfield that you see now conduct himself and carry himself around Tampa, like he's seen a lot of shit. You can be like, well, Johnny had to walk on at Texas Tech. Yeah, then he went to Oklahoma and became a starter and kicked everyone's ass. And all he did was have success. And then he came in a draft with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson went number 1 overall. I do think the humble pie changed the course of his life. And off the field, and I see it with myself, like getting married, having a child, like that tends to have a positive impact on people. And it clearly did on him. And then obviously is losing weight as well. He looks slimmer and he just looks good. I mean, he looks like he did at Oklahoma. He's a baller. He's also the type player, Mahomes has this too. They're just kind of gamers. They just got like this the analytic guys hate this, but like, what do you mean by it? It's like, I don't know. I can't really quantify it. But whatever that is, Baker's got some of that shit deep in his veins. And you see it when you watch him play. And it's come back out in Tampa because he had it at Oklahoma. Then it disappeared for a couple years in Cleveland. Well, it's back now because you see it when you watch it. I mentioned this the other night. Like, he has the Farvian quality. That's what Mahomes, Curry, who was compared to Mahomes. Like, there's just something like some it factor that these guys have that they're just they got like we're playing at recess to them. Except they're playing the Houston Texans, who have one of the best defenses on the road. And he's one of my favorite players in the league, and I'm glad that he resurrected his career.